up, a cinemashogun here, and as I reported to you all in a previous video, for the last couple of months now, little pharmacies like CVS have been quietly removing some very popular cough medicines off their shelves. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that very odd, especially because, we're in the middle of this outbreak of this mystery illness, and right at the same time, they're removing all of these easily accessible meds that people have been taking for years. Now, I've seen some people say, well, they've been removing these cough medicines for months. Yeah, and this mystery illness has been spreading since May. We know that now. So the timelines, they link up perfectly, but at the same time, I'm not saying that this has anything to do with each other, but how can you hear this news? How can you hear the news that, okay, we're removing these cough meds, and then you hear the news, oh, this mystery illness is spreading, all at the same time, and not kind of, question things? Maybe even tie the two together a little bit, because when I'm looking at it, it makes me feel as if there's almost a push to make people, and especially parents, now that this little illness is floating around that's mainly affecting kids, it's going to push people to go straight to the hospital as opposed to, trying to get better at home. And when people go to the hospital, the hospitals start having more people, then they can say the hospitals are overrun, then they can report more cases, and then they can inflate a situation that wasn't as bad as they make it out to be, if you will. But when you have all of these popular meds, taken off the shelves amid an outbreak, and even outbreak, let's just throw the outbreak out the window. They're taking this stuff off the shelves right as we go into the colder months when people are getting colds, they're getting pneumonia, they're getting bronchitis, they're getting all these different illnesses. So I do find that kind of odd. Also, I've seen people say, well, they're removing it because a particular ingredient. Yeah, well, it's not like they changed ingredients recently. I've seen people say, well, they're removing it off the shelves because it's ineffective. How can you hear that and be okay with that? These aren't products that just made it to store shelves yesterday, the day before, last week, last year, last month. Most of these products have been sold since before I was born. We're looking at products that have been on store shelves for 30, 40 years, sometimes even longer. And now, all of a sudden, after decades and decades and decades, they're like, oh, it turns out none of these meds really work. Sorry, we're going to take them off the shelves right in the middle of, this outbreak of this illness, and when everyone's, getting their typical flus or what have you during the winter. I mean, okay, you deem something, a product, ineffective, and you take it off the shelves, okay, but do you know how much money has been spent on these products throughout the years? But I'll get into more of that in just a moment. First, I want to play this news clip really quickly, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
The House subcommittee is planning to grill the FDA commissioner about a recent decision on a common cold medicine.
Yeah, the agency earlier this year finding that some of your favorite go-to medications don't really work, and now they want answers from the commissioner himself. Stephanie Haynes joining us live. Stephanie, what exactly are they learning that we need to know?
Yeah, good morning. They have all the same questions we do. If they don't work, why have they been on the shelves for decades? And why have we been paying for them for so long when these companies are raking in $1.8 billion per year? That's according to Congresswoman Lisa McClain. She's a Republican from Michigan and the chair of the House Oversight Subcommittee. And she's the one who sent the letter to the FDA commissioner demanding a staff level briefing to the subcommittee about this. Now, recall back in September, that FDA advisory panel found that oral phenylephrine, that's the ingredient in most of your over-the-counter cold medication, like in Sudafed and some types of NyQuils, does nothing to actually relieve congestion as advertised, though health workers say those meds can sometimes relieve other symptoms like sore throats. This ingredient, here's the thing, has reportedly been under scrutiny by researchers for years now. And in her letter, Congresswoman McClain writes in part, quote, "It is concerning that the FDA relied upon outdated and insufficient evidence regarding phenylephrine's use as a decongestant for so many years, despite numerous appeals by the scientific community. Americans seeking OTC relief should not have to worry about whether they are wasting their hard-earned money on ineffective drugs." So we spoke to a doctor about this, and here's her take.
I think what we saw is kind of a slow grinding of the wheels then between 2006 and 2016, when we really started to present the first bit of robust data to say, hey, phenylephrine may not be as efficacious as we thought it was. In other words, looking at new and more available and modern research techniques, it may be that phenylephrine doesn't actually do what we say it's going to do.
And back out here live, CVS has voluntarily removed those cold medications from the shelf so customers aren't confused. If you do need congestion relief, here's what you got to do. You got to go up to the pharmacy counter and ask the pharmacist for the stuff behind the counter, because that stuff actually works. We also reached out to the FDA for comment, but have not heard back.
Now, as I was saying before I rolled the clip, and as you heard in the news clip, some of these products have been on store shelves for decades. And now they're just out of nowhere saying, oh, they're ineffective. But what about the fact that people have spent literally billions upon billions of dollars on these products? What about the fact that customers were promised that these products worked, that these meds worked for years? And then when you hear that, how can you not question everything else? What other products, what other stuff, what other jabs, what other stuff may be ineffective that they're trying to pump into our bodies or that they're trying to sell to us? I mean, folks, These are products that me and you have used. Products that your mom used, your dad, your uncle, your grandma, hell, your great-grandma. Stuff that you gave your kids, stuff that you were given as a kid. Stuff that you took just last week. Some of you are taking tonight. And now all of a sudden, oh, it doesn't work. It never worked, guys. For the last 50 years that we were selling this stuff, it never worked. Now we're removing it suddenly out of nowhere. So I'm not saying for sure this is tied to this new mystery illness. But regardless, it doesn't matter which way you choose to approach this from. It doesn't matter how you look at it. It's still bad. Like I said, I do think there's a possibility that they're going to use this to drive people to the hospital, to drive, the reported cases up, to make this, to inflate this already, concerning situation. But even if it has nothing to do with that, and it's true, they're just removing these products because they're ineffective, then how can we simply just sit by and allow this news to breeze by with, and allow these people to get away with that? What about all of this money we spent? What about the fact that you lied to people for decades? And if you're doing this with these popular products that everyone thought worked, that no one questioned, then what else are you doing this with? But you let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below, because if I say too much, I'll get kicked off this platform. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous and you want to support the channel, because YouTube definitely doesn't support the channel, you can do so directly via CashApp. I will have my CashApp in the pinned comment section of this video, or you can donate via Super Thanks. or for free, you can help the channel by sharing this video, liking the video, commenting, subscribing, ringing that notification bell, and all of that good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.